Yanwu majored in marine biology, mostly for the love of seafood. Eventually, he landed a job on a fishing boat. It was a brutal grind, so after quitting that, our guy decided to sign up for military service. Eventually, he settled into village life as a beekeeper. He loved defending his hives from those pesky, honey-stealing hornets. After a tough day of beekeeping, he'd love to unwind with a drink. But let me tell you, the locals hated his drinking habits. They tried everything to keep him away from the bottle, but it was hopeless alcohol was his lifeline. Seriously, it was the only thing keeping him sane out there. Still, the villagers treated him pretty well. Just as Yanwu was leaving his apiary, an old lady stopped him. She hit him with a joke that was sweet, but definitely a bit spicy. Then, a neighbor dropped some news. A film crew was heading to their village. Apparently, city folks were coming to shoot a reality show. It was happening right near his place, but he didn't care and just walked off. On the way, he snagged a pesky hornet and thought about the news. Then he saw strangers and realized they were setting up right next door. A local grabbed Yanwu and dragged him toward the crew. And get this, the visitors were staying at his house. They clearly knew him already. The director was confused why Yanwu didn't remember their deal. The guy looked familiar, but I couldn't quite place him. After a moment, he remembered the guy had visited before. They'd downed some drinks and talked all about this upcoming shoot. He had actually signed a contract to let them film in his home. Now, the producer was trying to jog his memory. Yanwu felt totally embarrassed, but it was too late. The whole crew had already moved in. He regretted making deals while drunk, but he just had to roll with it while they got him ready for the camera. The producer explained the ground rules. No script, just a basic plan for the reality show. It was all going to be unscripted, real-life stuff. The cameras would be rolling 24/7, but he shouldn't worry. A famous actor was joining him. Yanwu realized he'd messed up big time, but he was ready to face the music. Looking over the plan, Yanwu realized he'd spilled way too many secrets to that producer earlier. The beekeeper didn't even bother reading the whole thing. He was way more interested in the actor he was about to meet. So, he hopped online to look the guy up. Turns out, this actor was a massive star with a huge career. He was already on set, just getting ready. Finally, the protagonist saw Dojoon, and man, he was incredibly handsome. Yanwu figured this filming might actually be fun, since it was a perfect excuse to get to know such a stunning guy. But first, he had to grab some beer. I know, drinking on camera is a terrible idea, but he figured since he wasn't the star, he'd just get edited out later. He was already planning how to enjoy his time off when the actor unexpectedly walked up and greeted him warmly. Up close, he was even more gorgeous. Yanwu couldn't help himself and blurted it out, leaving the star a little speechless. He kept his cool, though. The actor and the crew were all worried about the village's reputation for drinking. Even though he wanted a drink, hearing the actor object made Yanwu drop the idea immediately. No point in arguing. The beekeeper tried to get closer to Dojoon, suggesting they drop the formalities since the actor seemed okay with it. Yanwu called him by a friendly nickname right away. He happily invited the actor in and showed off his place, offering him a room. But the living room was a total disaster zone, filled with trash and empty bottles. The actor clearly wasn't expecting such a wreck of a house and looked completely shocked. As the crew set up gear everywhere, Yanwu led the actor to a bedroom, a spot where he'd be crashing for a few nights. Even though the actor was okay with the room, he definitely needed fresh sheets. Still, seeing the mess in the living room made Yanwu feel super ashamed. He decided to finally clean up a bit. Instead of doing the whole house properly, he focused on clearing out just one room. Then, he suggested they grab some dinner together, since the trip out here must have been long. He decided to hit up a neighbor for some food, trying to pick something the actor might actually like, though the actor really didn't care. With his house full of strangers, the beekeeper just left, totally unbothered by any potential risks. This just baffled Dojoon even more. It's hard to imagine anyone from the city being so chill about letting strangers stay in their home. The actor started getting worried about the filming, sensing trouble ahead, and tried to help our guy out. He went to set the table for dinner, but walking into the kitchen, he saw it was just as messy as the living room. With dishes piled high by the sink, Dojoon decided to tackle the cleanup first before doing anything else. It didn't seem like such a chore, but suddenly they heard someone at the door. A kindly-looking elderly woman walked in. She was looking for Yanwu, acting like he was her own grandson. She gave the handsome actor a warm smile, but didn't stay to chat. She marched straight to the kitchen, yanked open the fridge, and found it absolutely packed with alcohol. She started clearing it all out, bottle by bottle. She warned them not to say a word about her visit once Yanwu got back. He knew this was overstepping. Who would be happy about a stranger barging into their home and raiding their supplies? She cleaned the fridge out completely while the owner was gone. When Yanwu finally returned, he noticed his bottles were missing. He had been chilling those for later and was genuinely upset. Dojoon couldn't keep it in and told him about the strange grandmother, the one who took everything from the fridge. Yanwu blew up, calling the thief some pretty harsh names. It felt weird since she seemed like family. But the twist? This uninvited guest wasn't actually related to him at all. His real grandmother had passed away years ago. That realization just made the whole thing even worse. Feeling guilty for letting a stranger just walk in, Dojoon wondered if she was a neighbor, but that didn't fix the mess she left. Turns out, this wasn't the first time. The old woman was just too lazy to walk to the store, so she just stole whatever she needed from Yanwu. The city crew didn't expect this kind of rural hospitality. They were honestly a little spooked, especially since they had to stay longer. Dojoon apologized to Yanwu, knowing he could have stepped in, but he had fallen for the old woman's act and stayed out of it. Yanwu didn't expect him to apologize for something he didn't do. He didn't even expect him to do the dishes. Seeing Dojoon step up made him look even more amazing, so Yanwu told him he had nothing to worry about. The next day, Yanwu wanted to treat Dojoon to some honey from his own hives. He was clearly proud of it. Dojoon wasn't really into sweets, but seeing Yanwu looking so charming right then, he couldn't bring himself to say no. Yanwu started handing out honey to the whole crew, creating this strangely sweet vibe. A lot of them loved it, especially the director. That's when Yanwu mentioned he had jars for sale. Now it all made sense. Why he was pushing his honey on everyone though nobody was biting, Dojoon found the whole thing pretty endearing. He decided that hanging out with Yanwu was turning out to be way better than he thought. So, he made an offer to buy the honey. Even if he wasn't going to eat it, he wanted to support him. He ended up buying every single jar Yanwu had. Later, he gifted a jar to every crew member. Soon, filming shifted to beekeeping, and Dojoon got a mask for protection. The gloves didn't fit right, but they were a must for safety. Meanwhile, the master beekeeper himself worked without any gear at all, saying he'd been at it for ages. As he opened a hive, Yanwu started explaining everything to Dojoon, but one bee landed right on the young man's hand. It stung him. The pain wasn't even the point. He was just annoyed that he, as a pro, let that happen. A huge swelling started rising on Yanwu's hand. They had to call a quick break. Dojoon wanted to get him to a doctor, but Yanwu said it was no big deal. Still, Dojoon was worried and leaned in to check the sting. The actor was so close that he realized just how handsome this country boy really was. To hide his blush, Yanwu just walked away. He told Dojoon not to sweat it, But that didn't help. Yanwu looked like he was in real pain. Dojoon asked the director to wrap it up early, messing up the schedule, but Yanwu clearly couldn't keep going. That night, Yanwu said his goodbyes and went to his room, only to find it in even worse shape than the living room had been. He really should have cleaned the clutter, but he just couldn't be bothered. He shoved everything into a pile and stuffed it in the closet just as the camera woman walked in. She needed to check the gear in his room. Turns out there was recording equipment hidden everywhere. They were filming him even while he slept. He started wondering if he should ask for more money for all this extra coverage. The camera woman had never heard of such a thing and was totally caught off guard, but said she'd talk to the director. To make things less awkward, she finished checking the gear and hurried out. She clearly felt out of place with a local like him. Yanwu was fine with the 24/7's filming, but he started thinking about how to make it more interesting. He remembered a buddy from the fishing boats who kept a daily blog. I started talking to the camera like a real person, and that sparked an idea. I pulled it off that night, but by dawn, nobody else knew. At daybreak, Yanwu was slipping out, thinking everyone was still asleep. But the actor caught him at the door, and man, he was shocked. When he asked where he was headed, Yanwu just said he wanted a morning walk and would be back before filming started. He told him to get some extra sleep, but before heading out, he thoughtfully handed back the house key. Yanwu thought he had lost that key, but he had actually left it on a shelf next to his beekeeping gloves the whole time. Then, out of nowhere, Dojoon stroked his hair and told him to stay safe. Outside, the camera woman was already up and moving. She greeted him with a smile, though she was surprised to see him out so early. Honestly, everyone out here rises with the sun, so a morning stroll wasn't exactly weird. The director woke up too, looking like he was definitely not a morning person. He was mostly worried about one of our cast members missing. Then he spotted the portable camera the crew always carries around. He grabbed it and went chasing after Yanwu. See, he had been diving into current trends, trying to figure out what viewers want. He stumbled onto the world of bromance stories, where two guys get so close it starts to feel like something more. Dojoon and Yanwu were a perfect match for that. They clicked instantly and just looked great together. The camera woman? She didn't see that script change coming, but she just kept filming anyway. Trying to sneak back into the house, though, the door was locked, even though it had been open when she left. At first, the actor was prickly toward anyone approaching him, but his face softened once he saw it was her. She wanted to check the camera that was recording in the main room. He let her in without a fuss, and even apologized for his attitude. The gear was all clear, but the second she hit play on the latest footage, her jaw dropped. In the video, he was playing around like some kind of blogger. He showed off a book he was planning to read, then started reading out loud on the floor like he was in a drama, but eventually drifted off to sleep. The camera woman was floored. That meant Yanwu had slept right there on the hard floor with the lights on all night. But then the recording showed Dojoon walking in, which was a wild surprise in itself. He opened the wardrobe, and he just froze. Then he pulled out Yanwu's bedding and made him a proper bed. He even tucked him in to make sure he was comfortable. He clicked the light off and headed to his own room. It was honestly so sweet. No wonder the director wanted to pivot toward bromance for the show. The camera woman even started daydreaming about the two of them embracing and sharing their feelings. A show like that could be a huge hit, making enough bank to make the production totally worth it. She was also dying to know what was in that closet that shocked Dojoon so much. It was a total disaster in there, smelling pretty rough. Because besides some old clothes, it was filled with straight-up trash. She wanted to get out and scrub the memory from her brain. She slammed the door and bolted. Yanwu got home a bit later to find Dojoon had already set the table for both of them. He'd whipped up breakfast using whatever was left in the fridge, making a dish that he knew Yanwu loved. Even though it was a bit spicy, Dojoon was super attentive, making sure the younger guy was comfortable while he ate. He even brought him some water. The actor knew he'd have to head back eventually, but for some reason he felt right at home here. Over breakfast, Yanwu started asking about a role Dojoon had played in this old TV series. The guy he served with in the army was obsessed with it, so Yanwu ended up watching the whole thing too. Now he realized that was a major turning point, letting him meet and talk to a legend like this while getting to admire his face. Today was all about farming, and while Dojoon didn't think it was a big deal, Yanwu warned him it would be grueling work. He was shocked to hear the young man had to do it for the show. Apparently, the director forgot to loop Yanwu in about the sudden schedule change. Now he had to pull the homeowner aside to talk through the new plan for their collaboration. Realizing farm work is brutal, he tried to back out, but a little extra cash convinced him to stay on board. Before they hit the fields, Yanwu decided they both needed to gear up with hats and sunscreen. Dojoon passed on the hat, knowing he had to look good on camera no matter the heat, even though Yanwu said he was only doing this for the money, but he was lying. He really just wanted to help the actor out with the hard labor. Before they took off, the actor told him to be careful and lock the house. He said yes, though usually. He would never listen to someone else's order that fast. It was weird, even to him. On the way over, they started talking shop about farming. Yanwu tried to act like an expert, but it wasn't really his thing. An old farmer, who had already cleared it with the director, was waiting for them. Yanwu knew this guy pretty well. The young men walked up, and the farmer greeted the actor politely. But then he spotted the neighbor, and everything changed. The crew was totally confused by his sudden flare-up, just standing there, trying to make sense of the scene. The owner was dead set that our protagonist couldn't handle the farm work, but Yanwu was determined to keep his word to the director. The farmer warned the crew to keep a close eye on Yanwu, convinced the kid would bolt at the first chance. Eventually, he caved and led them toward the equipment, letting the cameras roll as they got to work in the fields. Flashback to last summer. Our protagonist had asked this same farmer for a little patch of land to grow corn. The old man agreed, but only if the kid pulled his weight, and honestly, the labor was way too much for him to handle. So he just ghosted the old man without a word, leaving him absolutely fuming. That grudge is still there, though mostly for laughs now. Suddenly, the kid realizes his phone is back home, so he asks the camera woman for a spare to snap some selfies. Yanwu got a little too informal with her, which made her shy since they'd only just met. When she heard what he wanted it for, she knew that was a first. But then, the actor stepped in and offered his own phone, such a sweet, unexpected move. He even let the kid save his number so he could text the photos over later. Yanwu went into photographer mode, snapping everything in sight and even dragging the actor over to pose by the machinery. Then he asked Dojoon for a picture together, and naturally, the actor wasn't about to say no. As the kid ran over to grab a shot with the owner, the actor's manager rushed in, stressing about the risks of handing his phone to just anyone. The kid meant no harm, and Dojoon felt helping him was the right thing to do, even if he usually keeps to himself. Truth is, Dojoon had a soft spot for this rural guy, despite having way flasher fans lining up for his attention. Once the field work wrapped up, they were both wiped out, the exact reason our protagonist had quit this gig in the first place. Knowing the kid's history, the actor teased him in good spirits, leaving the villager a little bit flustered. Then Dojoon tried to smooth things over by complimenting his naturally dark, beautiful hair. There's no local barber, so the kid had been hacking at his own hair for a while, though he'd given up lately. The actor offered to fix it up, and Yanwu fought it at first, dying of embarrassment. But honestly, having someone else do it was way easier than trying to struggle through it alone. He'd never had a professional-style cut before, but soon enough, he was sitting under a cape with cameras everywhere. The director was loving the chemistry, pushing to capture every bit of their interaction as the haircut began. Dojoon was winging it, but he'd spent enough time in makeup chairs to know the basic moves. When he finished, the kid looked sharp, way neater and shorter than before. At first, he asked the actor what he thought, only then daring to peek in the mirror. He'd actually been thinking about chopping it off to survive the summer heat, so he was genuinely grateful for the help. The actor hadn't expected such a cute reaction, and as they wrapped up, the kid asked for those photos to be sent over. Of course, that meant exchanging numbers, and Yanwu promised to delete it right after. But surprisingly, the actor told him to keep it and call whenever, clearly wanting to stay in touch. The kid was shocked, but still embarrassed, promising not to be a pest with too many calls. The older man didn't say much, but he was definitely hoping they'd talk a whole lot more. Later, Yanwu and the crew headed to the supermarket for groceries, with the cameras catching everything. He tried his hand at driving, but it didn't go great. Well, the first time behind the wheel rarely does. Dojoon was stunned. He'd tried driving without any training, but he rooted for him anyway. In the short time he'd known the beekeeper, he'd learned the guy was game for anything, even if he gave up the second things got tough. Instead of judging, the actor just jumped in to help him out. The kid asked him to fix a light, then went wild, filling the cart with treats, running up a huge bill. At the register, the kid scrambled for cash, but Dojoon just swiped his corporate card. The villager was confused, but the moment he realized it was on the company, he went right back to grab even more snacks. Nobody stopped him, and that night, the actor spent his time scrolling through the photos the kid had taken. I couldn't help but smile. Some photos were just weird, like posing with a bee, totally random. His contact name was so stiff: name, age, job, but the message he sent back, pure charm. He had one favorite photo, a real treasure. Watching him, I decided to change how I saved his name. Make it less formal, you know. I'd never felt this drawn to someone I barely knew before. Still, I kept it professional. By day 3, I was making his bed like it was my own job, even though I didn't have to. But that closet? A disaster. It drove me crazy every time I looked, so I just cleaned it. No reason, really it wasn't my place, but the junk inside was endless, like he was hoarding trash. Suddenly, that same old lady from day 1 barged back in, audacious as ever. She played the pitiful victim, but the second she stepped inside, she made a beeline for the fridge, claiming he'd stolen her eggs, of all things. When would he even have time? Then she brings up a vacuum cleaner. He claimed he'd stolen it ages ago and refused to give it back. I know village life has its own weird logic, but that was just plain insulting to him. When he walked in, I'd already whipped up an omelet. He looked at me, totally stunned, like I was some kind of wizard. Then he started gushing about puppies the neighbor's dog was expecting. We could go see them. All the while, I was trying to figure out how to ask about her insane accusations. We talked about the day ahead, filming at a local shop, run by someone he knew. The producer chimed in, saying he'd have to join since the shot already had 2 of us. But then they said on other days he wouldn't even be needed there, which was just strange. Surprisingly, he looked upset, even though he'd hated this whole thing at first. He clearly saw the perks now. I saw his mood shift immediately. He didn't say a word, but his face said it all. To break the tension, I offered to cook dinner. I asked what he wanted. He gave it to me straight. The fridge was empty. That old lady had snatched everything. Then he mentioned that stolen vacuum. Turns out it was a total lie. She'd given it away herself. Her grandson bought her a new one. I felt like an idiot for believing the gossip. The worst part? I'd actually doubted him. I'd let this village's weird rumors cloud my judgment. I felt so ashamed for accusing him. But he wasn't even mad. He just brushed it off. I realized living here was putting me in some really bizarre spots. I needed to adapt. I joked that stealing sounded fun and offered to help him out. On the way, he pointed out how naive I was. I didn't even realize how bad I was being played. Life here is all about outsmarting the next person, not just playing nice and handing over your dinner. I clearly lacked the street smarts for this place. We decided to team up. It was the only way to watch each other's backs. Total honesty, no secrets. He thought about it, then agreed. We were in this together. The shop owner greeted us with a huge, happy grin the moment we stepped inside. Not much inventory to film, but he didn't care. He was itching to get out of there. He had some big meeting with the village leader and needed someone to watch the store. He started critiquing his new haircut, pretty sure it was meant as an insult. Watching from afar, I didn't know if I should laugh or intervene. Finally, the old man left, and he went straight for the ice cream. Felt like he was stealing again. But no, he was just paying himself for the shift. He was actually loving life out here. Seeing how much these locals looked out for him was honestly kind of sweet. We sat around waiting for customers. Then the farmer's wife showed up. Such a calm, gentle lady. When he'd bolted from the field earlier, she was the one who kept her husband from exploding. The old lady only grabbed the dog food and waved off the change, leaving a massive tip for the staff. Totally unnecessary, but she insisted. My guy wanted to turn it down, but Yanwu stepped in, convinced him to take it. We needed that money for dinner, after all. You'd think every customer would be decent, but nope, cue the elderly food thief making her grand entrance. Our lead didn't hold back, calling her out for clearing out his fridge. She just shot back, reminding him about those stolen eggs. Turns out she was right. And since nobody could make that right, she just pulled a curveball and invited our actor over for a visit. He agreed to go that evening, mostly just to keep our revenge plot moving. It was a bit of a distraction from the team's goal, but honestly, I can't even stay mad at that handsome face. We ended up eating plain noodles for dinner. All our other supplies were gone. Just then, a knock at the door. It was the brazen thief herself, showing up with treats she'd whipped up from the food she swiped earlier. It was a cute gesture, and the food actually looked good, though. That doesn't exactly excuse the theft. After we snacked, he went to shower, and Yanwu grilled the director about being benched for the next shoot. Turns out, yeah, he wasn't on the schedule at all. They called it a day off. Realizing that was a dead end, he went and knocked on Dojoon's door instead. One look at him and everything felt different. He offered to help out with the upcoming shoots, even though he knew he wouldn't be there. With a polite goodbye, he headed off to bed, leaving Dojoon behind, completely wrapped up in his own thoughts.